Well, look, it's been a big year. It's been a tough year, and but I can't imagine I'm the only one saying that, given what's happened in the world with COVID-19 and the flow on with all of the supply chain and employment and everything else. But for us, once it work in the middle of Australia, it certainly had its difficulties, but we really kicked some goals. I mean, if you take from just over a year ago, we got the contract to manage the Peko project, and in that time we've redesigned the plant, we've procured the equipment, which was very difficult in these times. We've fabricated all the plant. At the time we started, we had the lockdown between WA and the rest of the country, so we had steel supplies here in Perth, and we utilised those to build the frames that we built the Peko magnetite recovery plant on. And then we actually trucked the whole plant from Western Australia to the Northern Territory, once again in a regime where people weren't allowed to freely travel across the borders. Our team went over. I mean, a year ago we had 7 people in the company, apart from non-executive directors, and most of those guys went over to the Northern Territory and stayed there, many of them for over 8 months straight, building this plant. But we got through it. We got through COVID. We then secured the port facilities, so an agreement to be able to load ships there. We secured the only mineral shed in Darwin, which was very important for us. In the Darwin port, because it allowed us to keep our product dry in the wet season. We secured the rail contract. So of the, at the time, 420,000 tonnes available on the intermodal system, there we secured 350,000 tonne of it by contract. We secured the containers required to move our product up to port. That was once again very difficult. We really scoured Australasia and into the Americas looking for these sea containers. We secured 260 high-class containers, allow us to put a lid on the top and tip at either end there. We secured the heavy lifting equipment to be able to move those containers around. Once again, that was no small feat. Picking up a 37-tonne forklift in a lockdown environment when we couldn't actually go and inspect it, picking up a reach stacker there, which typically has about a 12-month lead time and a very heavy cost on it. I thought it was great going. We constructed the plant. We established a water source. We made multiple announcements on that. We got a water source there coming from the scheme water in town in Tennant Creek that hadn't been used for about a decade or so, and we spent about 2 months fixing leaks and replacing pipes and so on. Once again, that same environment. So we got that going, and we've kept that going. We secured an offtake agreement for our ore. Through a process there. We had lots of interest there, but we secured it with a great group out of Hong Kong that we're happy to deal with there. And we got our operations to 24/7. In a time where big, well-funded companies are struggling to get people, we went from the 7 employees down up to about 40, which includes 24/7 operations. We're really delighted that we achieved something we didn't think we were going to achieve, and that is getting most of our people locally in the NT. So a lot of them in town and in Tennant Creek, some of them from north, just Darwin or south of Darwin region. So we're expecting to be, 100% fly in, fly out. And at the moment, we're over 80%, would be around 90% local NT-based employment. And I'm really proud of the fact that we're about 30% Indigenous at the moment. We didn't set out to meet any criteria in terms of, how many women, how many locals, how many Indigenous, but on all fronts, probably less so on the operational side there. We've got a few women in the office. I think we're now dominated by women. But I'm really happy how that's all turned out. I think operations and the team are equalising really well there. Then we got our first shipment out. 12 months after we first stepped on the ground as a little company to get the first magnetite to be shipped out of Darwin that we're all aware of. that was a big achievement. That was a big steep learning curve for us on how to do it, and it wasn't fun, and we would have loved to put more on the ship, but next time we'll know how to do it better than what we did last time. But these are invaluable lessons there that we now know, and we got paid for it. The ship got discharged. It took us a couple of weeks to actually get that sorted, and once again we learned all the tricks of the trade that we thought we knew but didn't, and we know now. We met the specifications on grade, moisture, and size, and also so everything that we needed to achieve in terms of the specifications of that ship, we did. The ship was successfully offloaded, and it's at a steel mill as we speak. And then we purchased the project. So we came in as contractors who were owed a bit of money and didn't really have any. We came out of the year, without much money as well, owning the project and having achieved all of these milestones and so on. And now we've made very significant progress in terms of refinancing the purchase. That was just on a vendor finance deal that it gave us a year to refinance it. The vendors didn't really want to be a bank, but it worked out better if we could get that sorted. So we've independently modelled up the project. We've, in terms of a really good cost model, in terms of the information memorandum, all the supporting documents and so on. We've gone out, we've brought on Azure to help us with this process, and they've brought in some really high quality potential, financiers, a range of kind of structures there from from royalty based to credit funds, but exactly what we're after with groups that suit what we're doing. So now we've got a number of groups, working through due diligence, but you're never there until you're there. But we're very confident how it's going, because all of the documentation, all the modelling, all the work we're doing, all the production on site is matching, the kind of things that financiers want to see, and turning out to be a very strong investment proposition, not only for those new financiers, whoever they are when they come, but our shareholders as well. So, I've got confidence in how that's going. Beyond this, we've also, and as part of it, really, to tell you the truth, we've designed the copper, cobalt, and now gold process routes on how to get the other minerals out. We started with magnetite because we had to secure the infrastructure. We wanted to secure the cash flows and understand the best way to get these other minerals out. Ultimately, they're the minerals that will probably make the money, but magnetite will be the one that kind of keeps us nice and secure. But we're working, quickly to try and get those other minerals going, not only for the actual cash flow, but as a hedge to magnetite. We've seen a lot of up and down the magnetite market. It's starting to strengthen again. We've got a quality product, so we're pretty comfortable with that, but we don't want to, take the risk. So we've now designed those circuits. We've now purchased a plant to extract the soluble copper and cobalt, and ultimately that'll release most of the copper and cobalt after we put some more plant later on. We're on track for, relatively early next year, getting first cobalt production out, and shortly thereafter copper. We've started shifting this plant at the moment, and we'll finish that early next year. And on top of all of these things, we've brought in our new ball mill. We've had that designed in Europe. We're building what we believe is the world's biggest movable mill. It's sitting in Henderson. The framing materials around there, where we've lost a bit of focus on that recently because of the focus required to get Peko away. But ultimately, that's going to be a great addition to what we're doing as a company. And along with that, we've made some progress on the Territory Minerals project, and once again, that's been pretty slow because we've had our constraints. But I think it's going definitely in the right direction, and we'll see a lot more on that next year. So it's been a big year. It's been a tough year, but it's something we're really proud of what we've achieved. 2023 is going to be a big year. I think that in terms of the amount of milestones that we've achieved in 2022 and late 2021, I hope we don't tick that many, because our milestones are getting bigger, but less of them to achieve. And so we would expect to complete the refinancing of the purchase of the project. We'll complete the ramp up of the magnetite production. That should happen very soon. There's no more capex required there. This is just an operational ramp up now between us and the rail, but we can see the end of that in light. We'll establish the copper and cobalt production there, and make and sell our first copper and cobalt products. And we'll also, and I'm actually pretty excited about this, is start reviewing the underground mineralisation. There's quite significant remnant resources that were left when they shut the mine down in the 70s. We've got the data, and we're keen to dewater the underground and have a really good look at it to see if there's a life beyond the tailings, which I think there was. And finally, we would really expect to see the completion of all the territory minerals planning and licensing. And if it's all as positive we think it's going to be, have us ready to get into production in Far North Queensland on the gold antimony there with territory.